5 money skills that every kid has to learn, okay, if you want to be good with money. And giving an allowance is not the answer, okay? Here are the 5. How to earn, how to save, how to spend wisely, how to share generously, and invest it for the long haul.
Awesome.
Like maybe they use Legos, right? One of the games is go throughout your house and find 10 things that are actual public stocks. And then we play this game where they narrow it down based on PE ratios and, profit splits and how the companies have grown and like the trust of the companies. They find their final 3 to put some stock into, to buy fractional shares. So this just teaches them like baby steps, how to get into the market.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Parenting on Purpose, your parenting podcast for the entrepreneurial parent, the homeschool parent, and the parent not wanting to be in a box. I'm pretty excited for our special guest today, Scott Donnell. Scott, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Happy Father's Day. You grew a little something since the last time
I
I saw you.
I got a dad beard. There you go.
That's awesome. It goes with the dad jacket and the Father's Day celebration. So that's awesome.
That's right. Best day of the year yesterday. Father's Day was phenomenal. I had a blast.
That's awesome. And super special for you, which we'll get into in a second. So parents, I'm really excited for this podcast because Scott specifically has a focus on financial literacy for kids. So he's the owner of Gravy Stack, which is a amazing, cool app that he's designed. And he's going to tell us all about it today. All designed around teaching your kids how to manage the flow of money, the relationship with money. It's going to be pretty good. We haven't talked about it in like 2 months. So how'd I do? I did pretty good. I remembered it.
That's pretty good. It's going right now. We're getting it out to the world. We have a mission of 50 million financially competent kids.
Awesome.
So we took, it's called Gravy Stack. Okay. Stack your gravy. It's an app for families to basically give their kids this economy system in the home instead of allowance, which really doesn't teach them financial skills. It's the way for kids to cover their expectations for free in the home, cover their expenses that you start passing off to your kids, because every kid has to have expenses to cover starting at age 6, and I'll explain why. And then up to 50 things you can do to have your kids earn extra pay around the house to cover those expenses. So it's this system that you set once and it auto repeats, the printout for your fridge, the payday every week. It's just like the simplest thing ever, but it gets kids to be truly financially competent. So that's what we've built. So that's Gravy Stack.
That's awesome. This is good. And I know this isn't your first venture. You've been working in this field for a long time. So before we get into the book, what you do, and the knowledge that you have gained through that interaction, we like to start with one question. And I think you're a great person to ask this because ever since we met, you just are very intentional with the way you show up and the way you spend your time, both professionally and I glean personally as well. So what is one thing that you do, Scott, to show up on purpose in your own life? It could be in any facet of your life. What's one thing that you do?
To show up on purpose. My family, we set up very, very clear mission, vision, and values that we go over every day. We have our weekly setup with our family calls for like the simple family meetings, and we make it super fun. But faith, family, and fish are our values.
Okay.
If you're going to do a family values, you want it to be memorable and you want it to be something that's actionable for your kids. And don't have like a 2-paragraph long family mission statement, but no one remembers that. So make it like an analogy, an acronym, something simple. And so with our kids, we have 4 kids, 7 and under, and they all know them. So faith, family, and fish. Fish stands for fun and adventurous, integrity, nice. Doing the right thing even if no one's watching, service and creating value for others in the world. And then H stands for hard work. We finish what we start. So faith, family, and fish is what we go over all the time. It's how I show up intentionally in my life.
That is awesome. I get so cool and varied answers to that question. So you guys literally do, is it like a board meeting where you're kind of hanging out like once a week on a certain day, or how do you guys integrate that into your life?
Yeah. All of this is daily. Like we have our like monthly where we sit down and say, here's what mom and dad are investing in this month. Here's what mom and dad are giving to. What do you guys think? What other charities would you want to help with? What matters to you? You got to bring your kids into these money conversations and these life conversations. That's how it works. It's not some like strict thing. It has to be like just part of everyday life. And so we're always talking about the values. You know, as we teach our kids, that's our lens.
Mm-hmm.
So on a drive, going to school, going to sports, like coming back around the dinner table, we're asking questions around faith, family, fish. And when kids are displaying certain behaviors, we're like, hey, does that meet fish? Is that actually following through? You know, and so our kids kind of have these mottos. You know, my last name is Donald, right? So my wife Amy and I, our last name is Donald. So we, you know, faith, family, fish is kind of how we model being a Donald. So Donald's, we get things done. We finish what we start. We leave things better for other people. We do what we say. You know, like those are just everyday conversations having with your kids. It's not you're not going to be able to do one meeting and fix everything. What you can do is just bring it into your everyday language so that it's like really simple for the family.
I love this. Again, intentional. I knew you were going to have a cool answer, but that's awesome. What I really like is, and I know we'll get into this with what you're doing with Gravy Stack, kids don't inherently have the value that adults have about money, right?
No.
It's what they learn and what they see, what is modeled for them that starts to define their paradigm around so many things, right? Money, worth, reciprocity, service. Like there's a lot that builds on that foundation. So, which is why I could not wait to get you on the show to talk about this. But I love that because it's how you do it in your life. Okay. So before we get into the Gravy Stack, please tell us about, like, give us a little intro for our audience who don't know you yet. So the book, how you got into this world, how you understood there was a need for Gravy Stack. And then let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm just a simple entrepreneur. And my goal is to solve like worldwide problems that at least 1 billion people have. And my first company was Apex. We helped millions and millions of families raise money for schools and teach leadership and fitness. It's called Apex Fun Run. We kind of started the whole fun run game for schools to raise money. And in doing that, we found out that the biggest hole in education is financial competency skills, financial literacy, like practical, how are you going to make it in the real world stuff? And the reason it's not being taught very well is you can't homework your way to money skills. This has to be done in the real world. It has to be done at home. It has to be done on the weekends, after school, around the dinner table. And when we started diving deep into this issue, we found that parents had no roadmap. Okay, they have no idea what to teach their kids when. Like they're just kind of spinning. It's like, maybe we'll get them a bank account when they hit puberty. Maybe we'll do like 3 jars, save, spend, share with, you know, quarters. Maybe we'll do a lemonade stand. Like they have no roadmap. And so we had to create a roadmap. And the biggest problem with the kids, we interviewed 1,000 kids and they said overwhelmingly, these are like rich and poor families alike. Okay. The kids said, we're scared to talk about money. Huh. It's a conflict. It's one of the biggest conflicts in our home. And parents argue over sex and money. Sex is not something they talk about with kids, but with money, you hear it all the time. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Do you know how hard I work to get you that?
Yep.
Right. You know how much this cost?
Yep.
You know, like you forgot to pay the bill again, blah, 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 blah. You know, the kids hear that all the time. And so they're like, forget it. Only 5% of kids have that built-in gene of like, where do I go make money, mom and dad? Where can I go make money? Most kids don't have it. And they actually actively avoid it. And so our biggest thing was, how do we take these systems and create this really easy system in the home for kids to create value in the home and make it work for their everyday life. And so with the home economy system, oh, by the way, so Gravy Stack, we actually interviewed 50 of the wealthiest families in the country that have incredible kids and grandkids. So they've actually passed on the legacy of money, not just giving their kids money. You don't want to just give your kids inheritance. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You have to set up education and communication, like a system. So we took, and then no one else was doing what those families were doing. And so we took that and we put it and we codified it in our app. So Gravy Stack now has that home economy system that these wealthy families have been doing. And a lot of those families actually invested in Gravy Stack because they're like, oh my gosh, if you automate this for us, no more like whiteboards and sticker systems and ticket systems and trying to like spend an hour or 2 a week trying to figure this out. It's now just like a set it and forget it weekly printout that you get emailed. It goes on your fridge, simple clicks in the app. It's payday once a week. It's very simple.
That's awesome.
And so we brought that to the families. And then we wrote this book called Value Creation Kid. We just hit Wall Street Journal bestseller list. And it's a model. It's basically all the ideas that are in Gravy Stack about how families can actually use it in the home.
So you did like the Napoleon Hill vibes, where you went out and you found the people who had the most successful like legacy relationships and monetary acumen, and then
Yeah,
you put that into both a book, and then I was downloading it as you were talking. So that's it.
that's it.
This
Gravy
is
stack.
so cool.
Yeah, you can get an iOS or the Android. It's 23 cents a day. 23 cents a day. That's it. It's like $7 a month, the price of a Happy Meal. And it's the best investment you could ever make in your kids by far. And by the way, we have scholarships that we're having available. We have all these like huge foundations and groups that want to help kids. If you can't afford 23 cents a day for your kids, sign up. If you qualify, you get a scholarship. So we want everybody in this, like to get to 50 million families. You know, not everybody can afford that, but the cool thing is, as the kids do Gravy Stack, they don't just have the banking set up. They have 100 games they play to be fully financially competent. So they're playing all these real life challenges and mini games, and they're competing with their friends where they're learning how to save and spend and share and invest and earn, borrowing or the issues of borrowing, how to create value in the world. There's a whole like level on online security, how to protect yourself safely online from like predators or getting your data stolen or social media issues and video gaming issues. And so that's the way that you do it. It's like, we just put it for everybody in one simple app.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fun too, because when you give kids the autonomy to do things on their own, you realize how easy they want to develop their own skills, right? Like they want to be value added, and you're taking a lot of the pressure off. Like you're making it in terms of play so that they are allowed to just have fun and enjoy, but they're also learning the skills. So that's really cool. Okay, so I
That's
want to
right.
ask. So I'm thinking about like what are some of the fun ways we can go about learning about the app? And something that comes to my heart is to go through one or two of the lessons that you learned from like interviewing those 50 wealthiest families, and then how you integrated that into Gravy Stack.
Yeah. So one of my favorite ones is I'll just start here. There's 5 money skills that every kid has to learn. Okay. If you want to be good with money, and giving an allowance is not the answer. Okay. Here are the 5: how to earn, how to save, how to spend wisely, how to share generously, and invest it for the long haul.
Awesome.
Those are the 5. And each one has very specific components to it that a kid has to learn, like in like baby steps all the way up. And so all those went into Gravy Stack. So here's a good example. The asking parents dilemma. Okay. These are like the burnout, frustrations, the nagging for chores that every parent has, but their kids ask them for money, especially when they turn like 10, 12, 13, 14 years old. They're like, I need money to go out with friends. I need money for the movies. I need money for this camp. I need money for the birthday present, whatever. So stop paying your kids free stuff. Or stop giving your kids free stuff is like the #1 trick of these wealthy families. What they do is they create a home economy where the kids know how to earn the money at all times.
Yes.
And once they've saved, invested, and shared it, then the spending jar is for them to use for their expenses. Okay, for whatever they need to cover things, whatever. And then that's what we built inside of the app. Okay, so like if your kid asks you for $20 to do something, you're the bad guy either way, because if you give in, well, you're a pushover and now you're spoiling them little by little. If you say no, well, you're the bad guy because you just like crushed their dream for that night to go with their friends somewhere, right? So it's a lose-lose question. So instead, with Gravy Stack, 2 weeks into it, kids never ask their parents for money again, ever. They know how to earn it in the home doing our home gigs. So there's over 55 home gigs that they can do to earn a few bucks at all times. And that's the beauty of Gravy Stack. So we have this 3 E's, right? Expectations, expenses, extra pay. Expectations are the free things your kids do at home. I'm not paying my kids to make their bed, brush their teeth, clean their room, probably dishes and trash. Like that's your role. That's your rent. Okay. Or even like doing well in school. Like you don't pay for that. So you set those up first. Okay. Then the next thing is expenses. Start passing off expenses to your kids. Even something as much as like 50 to 100 a week, like have them literally hundreds of dollars a month, have them start paying for all of their toys, trinkets, souvenirs, tech, extra sporting clothes and equipment, even their own clothes and shoes. Like have them start covering their own expenses so they can learn like wants and needs and buying power and all that kind of stuff. My favorite one is, of course, all social outings with friends, birthday presents for friends' birthdays. They should earn the money and then get the present for their party. That kid will learn generosity for life. How many times did you buy the present? You wrapped it. You got the card. The kid just signs it, doesn't even really know what it is, throws it on the table. That kid doesn't learn generosity. So you pass off the expenses. And when you've done that, now you have hundreds of dollars a month to pay your kids in extra pay that you saved. You get it?
Exactly. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So then we created this gigs system, 55 up to 55 ways. Most parents pick 10 or 12 that you can pay your kids a few bucks, and it repeats daily, it repeats weekly, repeats monthly. And it goes right there in the app, and they just one click for their weekly paydays, and then they've got their money. It flows through the money machine to their save, their share, and their spend accounts with their debit card. And it's just a cycle. It's like this beautiful weekly cycle where the kids are never asking you for money again. They know what their expenses are to cover. And if they want to make extra, they just earn it. It frees up the families. And so these are, these gigs are things like sweeping the garage, making a meal, cleaning a bathroom, organizing a closet, yard work, putting together furniture. Like some of these are one-offs, but that's the cool part is like you go in the app and you set up the calendar of gigs, and then it repeats automatically for you. You just put it on the fridge.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So to clarify, because I think I have a little more backstory than our listeners will, this is not like an ethereal, like play this game and you learn these skills. This is actual money being flowed to an actual account that your kids are going to have under your supervision and guardianship, and they will actually have buying power.
Yep. It teaches everything: monthly budgeting, delayed gratification. We have investing in the app. So they play this whole game of 10 missions to learn what investing is, risk and reward, compounding interest. And then they find their first few stocks in the home to buy fractional shares of.
That's awesome.
And then we teach them like diversified investments. They learn about real estate in here. They learn insurance and taxes. It's all in the game, but it's a real bank account. It's a real debit card with a money machine where every dollar they make, we teach them revenue streams. It's like a video where they watch coins flow, but it's real money. And it gets automatically split to their save, spend, and share accounts. And you choose the percentage as a family that you feel comfortable splitting between accounts. So I make 10 bucks, right? The kid makes 10 bucks or 20 bucks or whatever it is. It's, usually it's 20 to 30% flows into that save jar, right? Which we give interest on, and they choose their goals that they're saving for, long and short. We have the share jar that hooks up to every nonprofit in America. So you get the tax deduction, they set up goals, and that 10% or whatever you want to do, 0, 5, I don't care. And then the rest of it goes to their spend jar to cover their expenses. And then anything extra they can use for wants or needs. Okay.
So their spend jar also includes, I have a volleyball tournament, so I bought shoes. So 80 bucks for that. So she has 200 bucks in it and she spent 80. Now she has 120 to do with what she wants because she's already taken care of investing and she's already taken care of generosity or tithing or whatever's important to you and your morals. So with the investing piece, are they actual like mutual funds or stocks or that's freaking cool.
Yeah. It's part of the save jar. And parents also choose with the kids what percentage of their save goes into investing and what percentage sits in the account. So then they do sub investing. So they can basically say, okay, let's say I have got 50 bucks saved. Well, 25 of that or whatever you choose, all of it if you want, goes into fraction. It's a trading account. And so as you play the games, you learn the ins and outs of the stock market and how this stuff works and Millionaire Mountain and everything. And then you can choose fractional shares of companies. But the biggest thing we promote is like a diversified portfolio, right? Put it into funds, ETFs, long-term. But if they want to take a small amount of that and learn a few stocks, like maybe they use Legos, right? One of the games is go throughout your house and find 10 things that are actual public stocks. And then we play this game where they narrow it down based on PE ratios and, profit splits and how the companies have grown and like the trust of the companies. They find their final 3 to put some stock into, to buy fractional shares. So this just teaches them like baby steps, how to get into the market. And we teach, we're very like anti, everything crypto or anti put all your stuff in one stock. Like we're very, again, we want diversified. We want them to learn all the different ways to invest. We teach them, real estate.
Yep.
We teach them insurance. We teach them ETFs and diversified portfolios as well. So all that is in there for families. Here's the fun secret. Parents are learning just as much as the kids.
Of course.
The parents don't know this stuff. And what we found in our surveys and our tests was that parents actually don't even talk about the stuff they don't feel confident talking about.
Because they don't
So
know.
kids are missing it all together.
Yep.
And so what we did is like, okay, I've helped 6 million families now learn, right? Leadership and fitness and financial literacy. You can only learn about money by having fun and doing real life experience with it. That's it. That's why schools can't teach it. So we made it a game. We made it super fun. The whole app, from the banking to the economy system to the gaming, the world of Windfall and all the games they play is fun. Parents get to play alongside their kids. They compete, they play together, they learn together. And that's what makes it like a great family experience.
What I think I love most about this, because the whole thing is so cool, is what it's like the secondary and tertiary benefits. It's what type of society and cohort of people are going to be leading our nation and our world when scarcity is not the first and only thing that drives their decisions. It's when they do understand that there's fundamentally enough to go around, they can figure it out, they have the education, or not, and parents have the best in their heart. They don't want to miseducate, so they just don't. And they, we only got what we were given, blah, blah, blah. So this is a great way to break that cycle. But what does that do for our next generation? And that's what I love. Okay, so what age is this geared toward? What age kid?
It's anybody in the home starting at age 6 to 8. Okay. So it goes all the way up through teenagers. We even have college kids playing it. And again, the games are so fun that parents play. So it's ages 6 and up. All right. And so you can have up to 5 kids on the account. So you put all your, teenagers and young kids in here. And as they reach the age of 6, they can onboard. But yeah, it's really for the whole family. The whole system is set up to where, everyone who built this, we're all parents. I got 4 kids. We probably have 100 kids between all of our co-founders and tech teams and all the people on staff and our partners and investors. So we built this for our kids. It's something we wished we'd had when we were kids. And our whole goal was, how do we relieve stress and overwhelm and pain and guilt and other things from parents from their day to day? So this just makes it really, really simple for your family.
Yeah, that's so good. And how does it work if kids are at the age where they're working and they're bringing in money outside the home?
W-2, it's one of the revenue streams, W-2 income. So we have home gigs, which is how they do all their gigs around the house. We have community gigs. So we're actually teaching them to go to garage sales and flip assets. We're teaching them how to do services in the neighborhood or sell products in the neighborhood, dog walking and spray painting addresses on, or babysitting or washing cars. There's a bunch of things they can do to get paid. They get a Stripe account, by the way, too.
Yeah.
So they could literally just like QR code, get paid right inside that revenue stream in the app. And then the last one is the extra pay bucket. So that's where W-2 income just gets wired straight into their account. It's a real bank account, right? We don't have checking account, the name, because it's like, no kid's ever going to write a check again. That's a ridiculous, archaic system. But we have the account numbers, just like real banking. It is a real bank, so they can just send it directly paid in from their employer.
And is it it's up to the family to just distinguish if they want to do that as like an account underneath the parent, or?
Yeah. So when the parents sign up, the parents go through KYC information. So like with every bank, that someone over 18 has to approve.
Yep.
And so the parents are just hooking up the kids' accounts. They're creating the kids' bank accounts to get the debit cards, and they can hook up any other bank to it. So if they have a Chase account or a Wells Fargo or whatever it would be, they just hook up through Plaid their account to auto fund the parent wallet in Gravy Stack.
That's awesome. Because I have many kids and like young adults, like college age, in my thought process, and it's a spectrum. Some of their parents, they don't want them to have debit cards yet or credit cards yet, and it's just this kind of, and there's always a reason, and usually it's something like protection based behind that. But this helps to like remove some of those barriers so they can get the benefit of having those freedoms, but they're also earning it at the same time, right? They're earning the acumen and the actual money to be able to use it appropriately. It's awesome.
Yeah. And they don't have to like carry a debit card with them wherever they go, right? Most of this is plannings based. So the kids are setting goals. They're understanding what expenses are, on them to cover. Younger kids, like 8 to 12, they don't really carry their debit card around with them. But the older kids, teenagers are, right? They're getting a phone by high school, or late middle school, a safe phone. But that's where they're going to be carrying around their debit card with them to go. But you can keep it at home and just use the accounts as you build up money. And then the kids will just use the card for their expenses to start.
So I know we have a time limit coming up. So I have one final question, and that's, as you go through this, you did a ton of research. You obviously interviewed, wrote a book. There's a lot of due diligence that went into this. You can tell just by, I was just poking around on it as we were talking, and I mean, it's incredibly well designed. So there's a lot of back work that goes into this. What are one or two of the things that you took away in the launching process with your co-founders going through this that maybe you didn't expect? Maybe it was like a lesson that you learned about just like financial acumen in general in our children, or whatever comes to your heart.
Yeah. Money gets in the way a lot. So what we're doing with this app, the biggest feedback we get from parents is, you just freed up our family. Now we can have like a deeper relationship with the kids, a stronger relationship, no more of this bribery, the coercion that happens, the nagging for chores, and the fear that parents have of like, my kids aren't going to make it in the real world, right? Because the stats are crazy. It's like less than 1 in 4 22-year-olds is financially independent. Like, and despite most all of their parents thinking they would be, right? And 3/4 of 25-year-olds fail a basic money test, right? So we got a big problem. So this kind of ends all that fear and all that like frustration for the parents. And when you're removing the money issue and you turn into like an opportunity, now the kids have systems that they're doing and you're free to have a deeper relationship with your kids. That was the big win for us. So we're not about just like helping kids like be independent and go off and run into the world. We want parents to be connected. We want them to have deeper relationships with their family. We want, you're not supposed to pass on inheritance. You need to pass on heritage.
Yes.
That's the point. You want to pass on a legacy to your kids, deep relationships, like the values of the family. And this system, Gravy Stack, actually sets it up for that. Instead of all the money issues that happen, then kids go off into life, they're saddled in debt, they're making bad decisions, they're just waiting for you to die so they can get your house or something crazy. Like, you want to set up your family to be tight and interconnected and like interdependent and really like loving being around each other. And Gravy Stack is like a huge tool to get you there.
Oh, I do wish we had this as kids. I'm so grateful that you guys developed this for our like my kids' generation to have. And what comes to my heart is like, there are so many incredible families out there that have amazing legacies and amazing heritage, and they do some incredible work. But in most areas of their life, things are amazing. But because the financial piece was never taught, because the financial piece was never understood, it's always been something that's limited the rest of their growth. And I don't think the legacies were able to maybe take the foothold that they could have had if they had some of this knowledge. So, and then you just think of today's kids and how independent they are. I mean, this is so cool. I cannot wait to see like the impact this makes. You're going to have to keep me posted on like the reach and hitting your goal. But Scott, why don't you wrap up by just telling people where they can find you, your work, give us the app one more time so people can go grab it. And I can't wait to start playing it with Kinda. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So you can just follow me. I'm Scott Donnell. Pretty simple on all socials. We just got going with a bunch of content for families. Gravy Stack, the app, is in the App Store for iPhone and Android. You can also, if you want to watch a demo of it, just go to gravystack.com/Scott. And that's like a simple link that you can just like watch the 5-minute demo video of how everything works in the app, see if it's right for you. And then there's like a link to click and get going. So gravystack.com/Scott's like the easiest starting point. And then if you want to get the book, it's on Amazon or Audible. Value Creation Kid, The Healthy Struggles Your Children Need to Succeed. That's a really, really powerful tool for those of you that like to read or listen on the go. And then the last one I'll say is we started a show called Smart Money Parenting. And it's rising the ranks fast. Like, we hit number 2 for families on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And so it's just a bunch of simple, like 15-20 minute money conversations to have with your kids.
Great. Awesome. Well, I'll link all of that here so people can find you and follow you. I love the podcast. That's awesome. And this was great. It's so good to see you again. And I appreciate your time. I know you're in the middle of literally launching this today. So we appreciate you taking a few moments to pop on. And I'll get this out quick so people can see it and help you get to your goal faster. So
awesome.
That was great.
Thank you. This has been super fun. It's going to be a wild rest of the year because it's all about launching with partners and affiliates. And we got like crazy reach. There's like 50 million people are going to hear about this in the next 6 months.
It's so needed. And that's just, and then think of the organic reach after that, right? Because when it's going to catch like wildfire. So Scott, always great to see you. Parents, Love you guys. Thanks for showing up week after week. This has been such a fun journey. And you guys know the deal. Let us know what you want to hear. We'll go find cool people like Scott doing cool things, and we'll bring them to you. So until the next perfect time, guys, stay beautiful, stay inspired. Bye.
Bye.